Good evening, Patriots. This is Praying Medic, and this is my QAnon broadcast for Friday, September 11th, 2020. My theme for this broadcast is Plan Accordingly November. Those of you who are following along at home, doing your own decodes, you may have noticed if you use QMap or Q Alerts that their websites have been having a little bit of difficulty displaying posts. That is why I strongly recommend learning how to find Q posts on other websites. I often use QAnon.pub, QAG.news as another alternative. QAnon.news/Q is another alternative. And if you use these other websites, it may take some of the load off the servers and make it easier for other people to view Q's posts. So that is one little tip I'd like to pass along. And here is another one. For those of you who are not following me yet on CloutHub, which is most of you, especially this is aimed at my YouTube audience, in the very near future, I'm going to start doing live nightly news and current events updates, and I'll probably be doing some Q updates as well. These will be live streamed, and they're only going to be live streamed on CloutHub. They will not be live streamed on any other platform. So if you listen to my broadcasts on my podcast, on BitChute or YouTube or any other platform, you might want to check out CloutHub, CLOUTHUB. If you live outside the States, you can probably install the mobile app if you use a VPN. But if you live in the States and you want to check out CloutHub, like I said, pretty soon I'll be doing nightly live updates, and there will be chat on the live stream. So you can jump in and chat with me, chat with other people that are on the live stream. That'll be coming soon. There is a link in the description box where you can sign up for CloutHub if you're interested in doing that. All right, let's get back to the QD codes. As I said, my theme for this broadcast is plan accordingly, and understanding the timing of events in the attempts to remove President Trump from office is critical to understanding the larger strategy of the deep state. So we're going to just piece together some things, some events that have happened over the last year. Robert Mueller's team did their best to take down the president during their 2-year investigation, which the Justice Department later said had no legal basis. On July 24th, 2019, Robert Mueller testified before Senate Judiciary Committee, and that effectively ended his part of the operation against President Trump. Following Mueller's failure, the president's enemies came up with a different plan. The day after Mueller testified before the Senate, so that was, he testified on July 24th. On July 25th, according to this declassified call, President Trump had with President Zelensky, although nothing illegal was said on the call, a member of the National Security Council filed a whistleblower complaint, and that set up the impeachment. The intelligence community inspector general at the time, Atkinson, who received the complaint, quietly changed the rules for whistleblowers, which had previously not allowed complaints based on secondhand information. Adam Schiff chaired the impeachment hearings, which led to the House voting on articles of impeachment against the president, despite the fact that no crimes were listed in the articles. The president's opponents knew the Senate would not convict him, but that wasn't the point of the impeachment. The point of impeachment was to give air time to people who hated him so they could smear his reputation in the court of public opinion, as Nancy Pelosi demonstrates here.
You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this, so they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic.
So racial inequality is generally not an issue of great public concern except every 4 years when there's an election. Black Lives Matter is an irrelevant movement except in election years, as shown by this Google trend, where you can see searches for Black Lives Matter. The last time there was any significant search for that was just before the 2016 presidential election. Then no searches until right before this election. So race, unfortunately, it's an issue that politicians use in election years. And with mixed results, the president's enemies have weaponized the issue of race in their attempt to remove him from office. In July, protesters rallied outside the White House calling for the president's removal from office. In June, Dan Bongino said he had intel on military leaders who were considering a mutiny against the president. At that same time, in early June, Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser was trying to remove members of the military and law enforcement from the Capitol. Now, why would the mayor of Washington, D.C. want to remove protective services from around the White House? Q posted this on June 5th. It's a link to a tweet by Mayor Bowser where she had the letter asking for members of the military to be removed. Q said, an attempt, another, to remove White House protection. Ask yourself why, enemy of the people. What would happen if the security perimeter of the White House was breached? This was a post from Q on June 4th. What happens if a breach occurs at the White House? Attempts coordinated to capture a horrifying moment. In June, again June 4th, Q called on those who took an oath of office to keep their oath and serve the country with honor. And then this was also in June. He called on loyalists within government, in the military, to support the president. He outlined the steps that other loyalists were going to take if an attempt was made to remove him from office, forcefully or illegally. The latest move by the deep state is an attempt to portray him as anti-military. The Atlantic led the charge with that anonymously sourced article claiming that President Trump said military cemetery was filled with losers, and that's why he didn't want to go there. This is a Washington Post headline. Trump has a long history of disparaging military service. So why would the media push a narrative that President Trump has always hated the military? That's what they're doing now. Well, they need us to think that the military has a legitimate reason to rebel against him. That's what they're setting up for, I think, in the coming months. On June 5th, again, this is something that Q posted about, it was disclosed that former generals would participate in a town hall in September where they would claim that Trump was unfit for office. This is from Arthur Schwartz, June 5th. CNN person with direct knowledge, Anderson Cooper, has been planning a town hall for months with Gary Cohn, Jim Mattis, John Kelly, and H.R. McMaster. To air in September, they will make stuff up and say that Trump is unfit for office. Okay. Already in June, we were seeing that they were planning this narrative that military leaders view Trump as anti-military. Q posted a link to that tweet, full MSDNC blitzkrieg, known and ready, October surprises, being prepped and warmed. So Q and the president are aware of this strategy to make it seem like Trump is anti-military, to give legitimacy to a possibility of a military coup. This was on the 9th of September, so 2 days ago. Q reposted that drop from June and gave us some new information. Interesting change of events. Weekly false attacks plus whistleblowers false. First, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman coordinated with Adam Schiff, whistleblower false narrative insert. Then we have Ukraine, Joe Biden deflect, returning to the news, legal. So that'll be interesting if Joe Biden's dealings with Ukraine come into the news again before the election. Then next line down, AS, Adam Schiff, backroom prep, second whistleblower. AS, Adam Schiff, backroom prep, third whistleblower, national security. Pentagon, SR 1 through 4. SR usually refers to senior, So I think this is a reference to senior members of the Pentagon. Backroom prep, dry run the campaign if President Trump refuses to leave office. USDI, JCS 2 in brackets. Cover those in just a minute. Refusal to concede narrative. Right? So why is the media pushing this narrative that, and politicians, Nancy Pelosi and these other people are saying that they're going to need to develop a plan of action to get rid of Trump if he refuses to concede if Joe Biden wins the election. Why are they pushing this narrative? Challenge legally battleground for, so battleground states like North Carolina, Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, there are legal challenges that are coming into play for, I guess in 4 states, in brackets. Ballot harvesting, 4 in brackets, illegally. California, -1. Everything at stake, win by any means necessary, plan accordingly, November, Q. All right, so I explained some of this, but we're going to go through it again. All right, so Q wrote SR 1 through 4. I'm not sure what 1 through 4 means. SR sometimes means Seth Rich, but in this context, I think it just means senior members of the Pentagon. Senior Pentagon officials are secretly preparing a dry run on the narrative that if Trump loses, he may need to be forcefully removed from office if he refuses to leave. So that's one of the narratives that they're pushing. Then Q wrote USDI JCS in brackets 2. USDI is an acronym for the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence. Some call it the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security. That person right now is Joseph Kernan. And then JCS is an acronym for Joint Chiefs of Staff. So we've got the JCS is comprised of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the vice chairman, and the current chiefs of all 6 branches of the military. Commandant of the Marine Corps, Chief of Naval Operations, Chief of the Army, Chief of the Air Force, Chief of Space Operations, and the Chief of the National Guard Bureau. Right, that's the Joint Chiefs of Staff. So I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, that Q is suggesting that 2 members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence are involved in a plan to remove POTUS from office. That's my interpretation. And like I said, I could be wrong, but that's what I'm getting from it. September 9th, 2 days ago, Q posted this, American flag. Swamp runs deep. Sometimes you cannot tell people the truth. You must show them. Only then, at the precipice, will people find the will to change, to participate. We the people have been betrayed for a very long time. Will you stand? For God and country, for freedom, for humanity, where we go one, we go all. Q. And Anon responded, hello, sir, USA, 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 where we go one, we go all. And Q responded with a meme, the strongest weapon in the United States is a patriotic American. By the way, this meme was actually taken from Sidney Powell's Twitter timeline. She had posted it before Q posted it. So kind of a little shout out to Sidney Powell, General Flynn's attorney. Q gave a shout out to Carly, Carluska P, but he did not post a link to her tweet. I messaged her and I said, hey, were you on the board posting that night? She goes, no. She was on Periscope and she was doing a live broadcast when Q began posting that day on the 9th. She and people in the chat said hi to Q on the broadcast, and she says that's why Q said hi to her on the board. Hello, Carly. Thank you and God bless. Keep charging Midnight Rider Q. So she thinks that Q is actually listening to her Periscope broadcast. I don't know if Q is going to be posting links to the tweets of Patriots. Sometimes Twitter would take down people's Twitter accounts just for being Q'd. So Q may not be doing a whole lot of that in the future. All right, so Q then asked us to examine the data on California fires and come to a conclusion about that. What happens when California is in serious debt and lost priority aid from the federal government due to sanctuary status illegal? So the federal government cut aid to California because they had enacted sanctuary city laws and sanctuary state laws. So now they're losing federal money, and how do they get that money back? What happens when California is in serious debt and all attempts to obtain a bailout from Pelosi inserted and pushed COVID-19 packages have failed? So Nancy Pelosi has been pushing I think a $4 trillion bailout package under the guise of COVID-19, really to help bail out their disastrous spending. What happens when California is in serious debt and decides to implement resident overreach by extending statewide shutdowns, incurring massive economic further pitfall? Average number of fires in California per year, last 20, June through December. Average number of fires 2018, 2019, and 2020, June through December. Outside of standard deviation. Stated cause of fires, heat. So a lot of people have been pushing the narrative that excessive temperatures or global warming are responsible for the fires. Average temperatures of California per year, last 20 years, and then June through December. Outside of standard deviation, power lines, source, what changed? A lot of the fires are actually caused by power lines and inadequately cleared brush. What changed? What California programs regarding fire prevention, forest and brush have been severely cut? Well, that tells you everything you need to know right there. California has cut the budgets of forest and brush cleaning, and well, now you have a lot of wildfires. What other cuts have impacted fire prevention and safety? Here's a link. How do you obtain federal money? Declare a state of emergency and request billions in assistance. Welcome to California. Q. So, yeah, there is evidence to suggest that a lot of these measures are being done intentionally to increase the likelihood of fires so they can get federal money. All right. Refusal to concede narrative. Challenge legally. Battleground 4. Ballot harvest 4 illegally. California 1, everything's at stake, win by any means necessary, plan accordingly, November. All right, so the press is going to continue pushing the narrative that the president will refuse to concede if he loses, which creates the need for fake polls showing Biden in the lead. Anyone who has any common sense knows that the popular sentiment of the country right now is not in favor of Joe Biden. If they did any legitimate polling, I'm sure they would see that Trump has a massive lead in the polling. So we're getting all these fake polls showing that Biden's in the lead because they have to keep this narrative up that will legitimize the possibility that Trump will need to be forcibly removed from office. Ballot harvesting is being pushed in battleground states like North Carolina, and ballot harvesting has been expanded in California. Here's a CBS News article about California's expanded ballot harvesting. Q wrote, everything's at stake, win by any means necessary, plan accordingly. Worrying about the future is pointless. I know that some of these posts sound ominous, but worrying doesn't do any good. Prayer does a lot of good. God shows me, and he can show you, the things that you need to plan for and the things you do not need to plan for if you ask him to give you understanding, give you wisdom. So that's what I would suggest. Make your plans according to what God shows you. This is from Paul Romero for Oregon. Oregon's on fire. Pallet company in Oregon City confirmed Antifa arsonists on camera. Douglas County Sheriff has 6 Antifa arsonists in custody. Many fires in Oregon. Obviously, there are more to track down and arrest. Governor Kate Brown built this. So Q posted a link to that tweet. And another tweet, this one. State Trooper Ryan Burke from Washington State Patrol, who had found a 36-year-old Puyallup resident. He was caught in the median on State Route 167, setting a fire. He is on his way to jail. Great job. So Q posted links to those 2 tweets and said highly coordinated, funded domestic terrorism. Feds are involved, U.S. rights, small c in brackets, surveillance. I do not really understand what the small c is about, but I assume Q is talking here that the federal agents are involved and they're surveilling these people, and they know what they're doing through one of the surveillance authorities. I'm not going to say whether it's FISA. It could be FISA. if the funding is coming from overseas and there are aliens, not U.S. citizens, who are involved, they may be using FISA. It's happening in Democrat-controlled areas, Washington, Oregon, and California mostly. Media, of course, is not going to report on the true cause of the fires. After they started arresting people for arson, the global warming narrative went away, but now the media is really just saying, oh, there's a lot of fires, but they're not talking about who's lighting the fires. Election gaming Q. All right, so this is all about the election. This is not a Q post, but it's interesting. Google announced that it's going to change its autocomplete algorithms related to political candidates just in time for the election. So if you notice that certain autocomplete suggestions are not there that should be there, that's why. Today, Microsoft claimed that Russian, Chinese, and Iranian hackers have mounted cyber attacks against organizations and people involved in the 2020 presidential election. Here's a Politico article on that. That is interesting because in February of 2018, Q wrote this: censorship added layers of inserted code through keyword targeting in bio, history, and comments, plus individual platforms modifications have failed to curtail the problem. So talking about Facebook and Twitter inserting code into certain people's profiles to help censor them, and it hasn't helped. Q wrote, and this is February 2018, China, Russia, and Iran fake takedown hacks of select platforms for maintenance is one scenario being gameplayed. 0-day countermeasures in place. Think emergency alert system. Think White House controlled new real-time news website. Think White House controlled new video stream platform. Think here, 8chan. Should this occur, immediate steps will be taken to classify each as a public utility, essential public services, to gain appropriate government regulation and control. Why do we make things public? So, takeaway point here is that Q, 2 years ago, Q was saying that they were going to be game playing a scenario of blaming Russia, China, and Iran for hacking platforms. And on the 10th, well, Microsoft is saying exactly that. So how did Q know that 2 years ago? Now we're going to be switching gears here. Is the 44th president, Mr. Barack Obama, running a shadow government? Why does he make trips to foreign nations before and after Donald Trump? So Q posted links to 3 articles. This one's from The Independent. This one is from The Guardian, where Trump made a trip to Europe and Obama was traveling in a very close proximity to the same time. And then this is a third one where John Kerry was in Paris, but says he did not meet with any Iranian leaders and didn't talk about the Iran deal. Q asked this: what happens if 44, Obama, is actively running a shadow command and control, shadow presidency operation against the current duly elected POTUS? What former, mid, and senior administration officials would need to be involved? What current mid and senior administration officials would need to be involved? What key positions of power would be critical to the operation? How do you finance the operation? There are links to those 3 articles I just showed you. FBI mid and senior officials terminated to date. There have been, I think, probably close to 20 mid to senior FBI officials that have been fired since Trump took office. DOJ mid to senior officials terminated to date. Lots of people terminated in the Department of Justice, lots more to come. Pentagon mid and senior officials terminated to date. A lot of people have left the Pentagon, especially in the last 6 months, under the guise of, oh, I have family and personal issues to take care of, but a lot of these people were terminated. National Security mid senior level officials terminated to date. State Department mid and senior officials terminated to date. Rex Tillerson gutted a lot of people from the State Department while he was there. That was really why he was there, was to get rid of people. Executive Office of the President, right? So if you're running a shadow government, obviously you need to have the Office of the President under your control. You need to have the Vice President office under your control. You need to have the Director of National Intelligence under your control, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, Homeland Security, Department of Treasury, U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Assistant Attorney to the District of Columbia, U.S. Attorney, Southern District of New York, Inspector General of the Intelligence Community, Special Representative for Ukraine Negotiations, Ambassador to Ukraine, Yovanovitch, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Class 1 through 99 Defense. All right, so when we get Class 1 through 99, these are just classified positions that Q is not able to divulge. Class 1 through 99 Intel. Importance of controlled mainstream media, propaganda. What you see is not true. What we say is true, not what you see. Importance of controlling the narrative. All assets deployed, nothing to lose. Treason, sedition, conspiracy, information warfare, irregular warfare. Insurgency, infiltration, not invasion. Clear and present danger to the United States of America, the shadow presidency of 44, prevention of power returning to the people, power, control, prevention of accountability, prevention of transparency, war, a critical moment in time, Q. And we're going to shift gears here again. So new information has come out about Robert Mueller's team deleting phone data. This is a thread by Sean Davis. Newly released Department of Justice records show that multiple top members of Mueller's investigative team claim to have accidentally wiped at least 15 phones used during the anti-Trump investigation after the Inspector General asked for the devices to be handed over. So Sean Davis has a thread here on that. You can go to his Twitter feed and look at that more extensively. Q posted a link to that tweet. Was special counsel, in brackets SC, Mueller, brought on to provide cover for illegal 44 spy operation, plus 4 in brackets. Wall, POTUS, and non-attack political box. Seek and destroy, lose, incriminating evidence. They never thought she was going to lose, sloppy, nothing digital is ever really lost. So Mueller's investigation was an attempt to put the president in a box to keep him under criminal suspicion so he could not run his game plan. Because Mueller's team operated illegally, they had to destroy any incriminating evidence. And of course, we know that nothing digital is ever really destroyed. NSA has it all. All right, Q posted this. It was on the 10th. The illegal spy campaign by 44 using upstream collection went far beyond that of 45's transition team. 44, Brennan, lead, plus foreign assist, matters of national security. The world is going to find out that there were many people that were spied on during 2016. Actually, there are some people who've said that Hillary Clinton's campaign was actually spied on by Obama. Q has indicated that Ted Cruz's campaign was spied on. Let me go back to this post here. When Q says that the illegal spy op of Obama plus 4, I think Q is indicating there are 4 presidential campaigns that were under surveillance. That's just my take. I could be wrong, but that's how I interpret that. Former CIA Director Brennan quarterbacked and coordinated that spy campaign. He looks like he would have coordinated with GCHQ and other foreign intelligence agencies to get information about the campaigns. Due to national security concerns, some of that information is probably never going to be made public. So an Anon posted this, Q, you've always seemed to post exactly when I'm most down. Hive mind, thank you and God bless. Q responded, find peace, solace through prayer. There are good people standing behind you. Have faith in humanity, have faith in yourself. Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing. God bless. Q. Q posted a link to a New York Times article. Said it's worth remembering, infiltration and placement under 44. New York Times article was about Obama's CIA spying on the secret communications of the Senate Intelligence Committee, the same committee that was responsible for oversight of the CIA. All right, we're going to go shift gears again here, and we're going to talk a little bit about the history of the Nazi Party and the rise of Adolf Hitler. Hitler hired street thugs. He gutted legitimate police departments and replaced good cops with his own corrupt cronies. He created a massive intelligence community spied on virtually everyone, and imprisoned his opponents. This is an article that Q posted from historyplace.com. Talks about the rise of the Nazi surveillance state, how the SS was formed. There's some similarities that Q's alluding to. This is from Britannica. Talks about the Gestapo, how it was used by Hitler to eliminate his opposition to the Nazi Party. So Q posted those two links and wrote, "Fact checkers installed. Misleading information, deliberate, intent to deceive regarding the anti-narrative. Truth about history attacked, altered, and reformatted. Why? System of information control, narrative population control. Events then, events today, reconcile." So how do you control public perception? Why do Democrats insist on fact-checking the president's speeches? Right? We have all these fact-checkers going on. Isn't that exactly what the Nazis did during the 1920s and 30s? Weren't they correcting the narrative, correcting the record, fact-checking everybody to make sure that only their narrative was allowed? What is Facebook doing right now regarding the election? Facebook is taking down posts that they say are in error. Twitter is doing the same thing. They're putting labels on posts that have to do with the elections that they say don't tell the truth. What they're really doing is they're censoring the narrative that they don't like. Q posted this on the 10th. It is a screenshot, and it says, in 1933, Hitler appointed Hermann Göring, Minister of the Interior. His first orders were to defund and eliminate police departments so that they would not interfere with his brown shirts, whose mission was to riot, burn, beat up, and kill citizens in an effort to sway the elections. All right, and Q wrote, "The truth is right in front of you. Past playbook used today. Knowledge is power." Q. And Anon made a connection between Hitler's policies and a statement made by Obama back in 2008. He said, "We cannot continue to rely only on our military. In order to achieve the national security objectives that we've set, we have to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, and just as well funded." When Obama said that in July of 2008, a lot of people thought that was very strange of him to say that. Here's a link to an article from the Petroglyph that has that video there. So Q responded to the Anon, "Well done, Midnight Rider," and posted a link to the YouTube video. In the 12 hours since Q began talking about the similarities between the Nazi Party and present-day political events, articles have been published claiming there are parallels between Q and the Nazi Party. Here are 5 examples that Q posted. Past 12 hours, sensitive subject, over the target. So this one is from Newsbreak. QAnon and Nazism wants a comeback. Anti-Semitism expert reveals parallels. This one, expert on genocide and anti-Semitism, lays out the frightening parallels between the Nazis and Q. This one from Just Security. QAnon as a Nazi cult. This one from the New Civil Rights Movement. Frightening parallels between QAnon and Hitler's Nazis. Well, here's the thing. If Q had ever posted anything that even suggested that he supported Nazis or if he was anti-Semitic, I guarantee you that post would be in all of these mainstream media articles. You notice that the news never ever puts any Q posts in their articles because they have no evidence that proves their point. Q has never posted anything that's anti-Semitic, has never posted anything that supports Nazis. In fact, what Q is doing is highlighting similarities between the Nazi ideology and current political movements today, like Antifa. And this is one more from Salon about supposedly the Q movement being a rebirth of the Nazis. So as Q said, if you're taking flack, you know you're over the target, and we are definitely over the target. Last night, interestingly, while I was doing this thread, President held a campaign rally in Michigan, and he was actually talking about Hitler and Churchill while I was doing this thread. Q posted a link to an article in The Intercept, Knowing What You Now Know. In light of what we now know, why do you suppose that that Obama suddenly changed the rules for the NSA's sharing of private information on private citizens, with government agencies a few days before Donald Trump took office. Well, it was part of his spy campaign. He needed the NSA's information on private citizens to get out to the FBI, DOJ, CIA, where that information could then be weaponized against Obama's opponents. Q posted links to a couple of articles and a tweet by Andy Ngo. Just as Hitler provided legal cover for his brown shirts, Democrat mayors are providing legal cover for their own thugs. Andy tweeted this out. It's a video of Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler announcing that as police commissioner, he is banning Portland's police from using tear gas in all circumstances. Gee, why would the mayor of Portland want to ban the use of tear gas? Because it is harming the effectiveness of his brown shirts, maybe? Portland City Council voted to restrict and in some cases prohibit the use of facial recognition technology. Why would they do that? And Portland District Attorney has announced he's going to drop the prosecution of hundreds of rioters in that area. So an Anon responded, complicit, adjective associated with or participating in a questionable act or crime, having complicity, adjective associated with or participating in an activity, especially one of a questionable nature. So all of these mayors and governors who are aiding and abetting these fires and the rioters, they're complicit, and eventually hopefully they'll be charged. Q responded, renegade, noun, a person who deserts a party or cause for another, an apostate from a religious faith, adjective, of or like a renegade, traitorous. All right, Q posted this last night regarding the debates, presidential debates. Biden camp will find an excuse or reason to terminate the debates. Biden camp will be provided the questions ahead of time. That's guaranteed. Biden camp will be provided the questions ahead of time and assistance in the form of a special communication device. Q. Well, if they gave Hillary the questions in 2016, you know that the mainstream media will do whatever they need to do to get Sleepy Joe through the debates, if they have the debates. I'm not convinced that they will. I wouldn't be surprised if they find a way to just shut them down. Q posted this last night regarding our use of memes to counter the mainstream media's narrative. Facebook and Twitter using DARPA-provided software to censor and restrict picture content using matching. Think reverse image search. So when you do a reverse image search, you have an image and you look for matches to it. Well, that's the technology that they're using. You upload one image to find and locate all. And Q said that program is cycling every 5 seconds. Meme combat approach, adapt and overcome, Q. So the next discussion we're going to have is about Anons trying to figure out how do we overcome this algorithm. So this Anon suggested cropping images. Easiest way is to recrop an image, slightly smaller or slightly larger. Another is to place pixels within the picture, as one black pixel usually fools software like this unless it's more advanced. Q said it's more advanced. Consider the black corner box 20%. Insert top and bottom, left and right. Sniffer programs cannot distinguish at this time, Q. So an Anon posted this, a white square with black boxes in the corners, and also a white square with black boxes, top and bottom, left and right, 1 or 2. And Q said 1 is sufficient, a 20% total. So Q wants these black boxes to occupy 20% of the total space of the square or the rectangle. Sniffers are highly sophisticated artificial intelligence programs that examine and assign meaning to large amounts of internet data. Q has referred to sniffers a lot in the past. The CIA apparently has been using sniffer programs to try to interpret Q's posts, and that's why Q sometimes uses double meanings and double entendres and different ways of phrasing things. It's to defeat the sniffer programs. This Anon said, given this information, how much time have we before they adapt? Q said, 2 to 4 days. They will deploy a centralized picture frame approach next. Instructions to follow, mod in brackets Q. So we'll be getting updated from Q on what the next strategy is. This Anon said, would a Q in the corner do the same trick? Q said negative regarding artifact insertion, 4-corner direct center approach. And Anon said, so a circle within the square. And Q responded, the program that they're using hits 32 identifying structural points in any image. If 20% of those points fail to hit, the program passes as safe. 5 by 5, loud and clear. Another option is to simply create your own memes, create new ones. I've been trying some things with memes to change them up a little bit. You have to adapt, improvise, and overcome. This Anon said, hey Q, why are private companies like Twitter and Facebook allowed to get intel from government DARPA to censor Americans? Q replied, Fox News article, and said, excellent question. You should ask, as should every American. And there's the link is to this article about Democrats deploying DARPA-funded artificial intelligence-driven information tool to take down and attack Trump-supporting accounts on social media. Why is DARPA allowing that to happen? This morning, Q posted a picture with American flags and a quote from Thomas Paine. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered, yet we have this consolation with us at the heart of the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. Thomas Paine, The American Crisis, Q. And Q then posted a screenshot, KUTV2 News. This is a news report about arsonists starting fires. Right now, there are 14 confirmed fire spots, all started within 1 to 5 a.m. Saturday morning. These were intentionally set fires, not caused by dragging chains, abandoned campfires, etc., quoting the U.S. Forest Service. And Q said, see something, say something. And this is the article from their website. Q then posted a map showing fires in the western U.S., a lot of fires. And that gets us caught up to Q for today. If this broadcast has encouraged you, you might want to subscribe to my channel. If this broadcast has helped you, you might want to support me on Patreon. The link to my Patreon page is in the description box. A link to my book, Calm Before the Storm, is also in the description box. Thank you for keeping me and Denise in prayer. I would ask you to continue to keep us in prayer. Keep the president in prayer. Keep Q and the team in prayer. Keep the military and the Secret Service in prayer. Love you all. Take care. I will catch you on the next broadcast.